taking the time to view our video. I wanted to talk a bit today about sailing vessel Nike. Nike is a Maple Leaf 48 built in 1973 by Stan Hunsford. Is built by Cooper Yachts up in Canada. And she's currently for sale. We have owned her for 4 years now. We bought her in 2020 and spent 2021 doing a bit of a refit, and then came down on the Haha, and have spent the last 3.5 years in Mexico. And she is an absolutely lovely boat, and I'd love to tell you more about her. I believe that she was originally bought and delivered down to Los Angeles, and she spent the next 40-something years of her life in Los Angeles, going back and forth from LA to Catalina. So this is not a boat that's been exercised super hard, so even though she's old on the insides, she's still pretty new. From what I can tell, she has never had an owner that let her go. The tow rail is beautifully varnished, and by looking at the tow rail, I think it's always been beautifully varnished for the last 50 years. There hasn't been an owner that's let this boat get old. It's always been well updated and well maintained. From what I can tell, recently it had a larger refit in around 2000, and then in 2008, and then in 2015, and then when we bought her in 2020. And we are selling her as a ready-to-go turnkey cruiser, so you could throw your flip-flops on and go. We've spent roughly 9 months out of the year at anchor here in the Sea of Cortez and in mainland Mexico, and Nike is set up and ready to do that again. So whenever you are ready to go, Nike's ready to go, and you can come, throw your shoes on, throw off the dock lines, and take off. It is an older boat, so there's always going to be things to work on. Even with a newer boat, there's always going to be things to work on, but you're not going to be spending 1.5 years doing a refit, because the refit's already been done for you. Starting at the bow, we have a large Rockman anchor. It's a Rockman 33. The boat also has a bow thruster at the bow. The control is right here at the helm. The bow thruster helps a ton for docking. It's also it's an external mounted bow thruster. It just has, I think, 3 bolts that go through the bottom of the keel into the boat. So there's not a huge hole in the boat, so you still have the full capacity of that forward bow hatch. After that, let's see, the boat is designed as a motor sailor. You probably saw it in the listing already, but we have a Ford Lehman 120, which is quite a bit of horsepower for the boat. The boat, I think, was originally designed for a Ford Lehman 80, so we got 50% more than what the initial design called for. We can motor at 7.5 to 8 knots if we want to. At that speed, though, it uses around 2 gallons per hour. We usually back it off to around 6.5 knots, and that's around 1 gallon per hour. And for tankage, the boat has 450 gallons, which is an incredible amount of fuel. We've met a boat that was crossing to French Polynesia, and he was leaving like late February, and everyone's like, why are you leaving late February? The doldrums are gonna be huge, you're never gonna make it. He's like, well, I have so much fuel on board, I can almost motor to French Polynesia, so I don't have to worry about the doldrums. The fuel itself is arranged in, there's a port and a starboard 100 tank, and then the entire keel is a large tank. It's 200 gallons. And then above the engine, there's a 50-gallon day tank. And then we have a switch right here to transfer the fuel between tanks. The most recent, tankage, we also have 300 gallons worth of water separated into 2 tanks. We use the water maker pretty much every day, so the tank's always going to be pretty much completely full. So I have stopped using the port water tank, and I only use the starboard water tank. the generator sits on the port side, so if there's 150 gallons of water in the port tank, it lists a bit. And so by keeping that tank empty, we don't list. So I haven't used that tank in 3 years. Speaking of generator, we are an electric only boat. I think I mentioned this a little bit later in another video, but we're an electric only boat. We run almost exclusively on solar. So the boat is currently set up with 1500 watts roughly of solar. We have 450 here above the Dodger, and then another, we have two 450 panels here above the Dodger. And then on the back of the boat, there is two, I believe they're 320s. I'll have them correct in the listing, but I believe it's either 320s or 330s. And on the back of the boat, the panels use hydraulic lifters, so we can tilt them up and down. So when we are underway, we tilt them down and clip them so that we can see. But for example, this slip that we're sitting in right now, we're southeast or southwest facing, and so I can tilt them up, and the 320s make more power than the 450s when they're tilted up. It's pretty amazing. The boat, so we have 1500 watts of solar. We did a large electronics refit in 2020. For that refit, we, for all of the major thicker than your pinky cables, we cut the ends off and replaced all the ends to make sure that all the cables were good and didn't have corrosion. My concern was that with an old boat with so many owners, some owner doing a cable wrong was gonna cause a fire, and one of the biggest risks on a boat is a fire. So we wanted to make sure that all of the cables were up to snuff. So we clipped the end of every cable and put new ends on. A lot of the cables we entirely replaced. When we bought the boat, it also had 20 golf cart batteries that we took off the boat and replaced them with 10 lithium ion batteries. So we have 2 lithium ion banks. We have an 800 amp hour inverter bank and a 200 amp hour house bank. So if one of the kids turns on a space heater and runs the batteries down underway, we still have another 24 hours worth of electricity left to keep the main nav electronics and the refrigerator running. Then all of the main electrical items are all Victron. So we have a 5000 watt inverter. The inverter is powerful enough that we can run 3 major appliances at the same time. So we could have like the convection oven going, and we could have the water maker running, and you could still straighten your hair all at the same time. And the generator is 8,000 amp hour or 8,000 watts, and so when the generator's on, you can be running 3 major appliances and still be charging batteries with 100 amps charge voltage. So that's really great. There's very few boats that we've run into that have inverters this big. The boat also has a large chest freezer that runs on AC. But the nice thing about the big chest freezer is that when it's down and cold, you can turn the inverter off, and for 12 to 16 hours it's going to stay frozen. You could probably do it over 24 hours, but we generally will turn the inverter off at night, or we'll turn the inverter off when we leave the boat, and the freezer stays frozen, and we don't have to worry about having to keep the inverter on all the time. As part of being set up for long-term cruising, we've also got the Starlink on board. It's installed on the back of the boat. The boat also, in the 2015 refit, there was 2 commercial pilots, like boat pilots, harbor pilots, that they were brothers. They were going to do the South Pacific together, and they bought the boat and did a large refit in order to do that trip. And then sadly, one of them passed away before they could leave. but we get to reap some of the benefits of all the work they did. So they installed these two big chart plotter stations. They wanted this boat to be set up with a helm station similar to what they have in a commercial ship. So we have all of the battery banks here. We have wind instruments and depth sounder on the B&G multi-panel. And then the oversized chart plotter. We have anchor controls here, engine panel. Down here is the generator panel. This is the house charger if we're plugged into shore power, which right now we are not. Even though we're at the dock, we don't usually plug into shore power unless we need the air conditioning. We have bilge pump controls. We can turn our anchor light off. We're in the marina. Yeah, so it's really great when you are underway. There's no going down to the chart table to look at the chart plotter, which a lot of boats have. It's all right here, ready to go. And with the hard Dodger, generally, even if it's raining, we don't have to worry about rain getting on all of the electronics. They're all here, tucked up underneath the Dodger. Okay, this is the bow of Nike. It's hard to appreciate in video, but the foredeck up here is pretty much palatial. The cabin top's end just forward of the mast, and so it's a flat foredeck the whole way forward. We've done movie nights up here with like 6 to 8 kids sitting all together watching a movie night because the foredeck's so big. If we look at the mast, the mast was pulled out last year and painted, so it has fresh paint on the mast as well as new rigging for the boat. The primary sails for Nike, we have a jib forward. We've got the mainsail. Let me come up here. We also have a removable bow sprit for the spinnaker. The spinnaker is a large green and white spinnaker with a 10-foot, 20-foot tall leprechaun on it. Forward of that, we have the windlass. The windlass is a RC Platt windlass out of Oregon. So far it's worked great. We haven't had any problems with it. Haven't had to do any work on it. The anchor is a Rockna anchor. It's a Rockna 60, 33 kilo. We also have 300 foot of chain. Underneath the 300 foot of chain, there's a spare 100 foot of extra chain. And then inside of this bow locker, which is big enough to climb all the way down into, we also have 2 sets of extra anchor rod and dock lines and all kinds of great stuff. Let's do the quick interior tour of Nike. Nike has the galley situated on the port side. We have a stand-up RV style refrigerator on aboard. We also are an all-electric boat. There's no propane on board, so we have underneath this large cutting board an electric cooktop with double burners. We also have an Instapot and a microwave convection oven combo. The oven actually works pretty good. We bake bread regularly. We also can make a whole chicken. It works fine. We're able to do all of this off of solar. In the winter, we're maybe running the generator for a half hour a day. After around April, the sun's up high enough in the sky that we generally do not need the generator at all, even with cooking and baking. Continuing forward, we have a large table, and then on the other side we have a full settee. The boat is a very beamy boat for its size, 15 feet, and outboard of the settee and like salon area, there's not wall level storage, so this is the full beam.
so it's hard to appreciate in the video exactly how big this galley salon area is. You're not going to find a similar size interior volume boat until you get into the 53 to 55 foot range. Continuing forward of the salon, we have our V-berth area. This doesn't have a V-berth though, we have a bunk on each side. So if you have guests aboard or kids, they don't have to share a bed. We also have a fire extinguisher in here. We also have a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide detector by every bed. Forward of this room, we have the head. Both the heads on this boat are vacuum flush. I really like the vacuum flush because they are a no smell toilet. There's no air inside of the tube running from the toilet to the pressure tank, and so there's nothing in the system to smell, so you don't get that boat head smell. The bow also has this large circular hatch, so at anchor we get really great ventilation coming down in through this hatch, as well as it has a bug screen, and all of the windows and ports on Nike have bug screens, so we can go into like a Sea of Cortez anchorage that has bees or mosquitoes, and we're not going to get any of that stuff in the boat. I think that's about it for forward. We're going to go ahead and head back now. Let's continue on our boat tour of Nike. First we have our nav station, and then if you continue on, we can see the rest of the boat. This is our third stateroom here. This is a great spot for either a workbench or a pilot's berth. This was used by my son. And if you come on in, you can see the main switch panel. So the main switch panel in Nike's a 70s boat, and so this is very Star Trek styled stainless switch panel with a stainless panel of all of the switches and their labels. Inside this room also, underneath this bed we have our lithium battery bank. There's 10 batteries under here, and under the next space over is our 5,000 watt Victron inverter. Continuing around, this is the engine room. We have an opening door with a walk-in engine room. It's not standing headroom, but you could definitely sit on a bucket and work. First we have the Ford Lehman 120 engine. This engine was originally marinized, but then I believe they did a rebuild around 2000. When they did the rebuild in 2000, they made this heat exchanger for the engine. It's about triple the size of a normal heat exchanger for a Ford Lehman. Really great for the hot, warm waters of Mexico. On the fire side of the room, the silver box is our 8 kilowatt Onan generator. Moving aft to the engine room, we have the master stateroom. This stateroom is pretty big and spacious. On the starboard side, we have a pipe berth, which currently is all storage. We have a sailrite sewing machine that is included. There's a dehumidifier, and then the bulk of the bed is the life raft. There's also fishing rods under here. All of the fishing rods are going to be included. On the other side of the boat, we have the master bed. It's roughly a full size. One of the special things about the Maple Leafs is that we have a second entry to the boat back here. So there's a second cockpit back there with benches, and you can come in and out without disturbing whoever is in the pilot berth sleeping. We have a vanity here, and then next to the vanity is the master bath. So this one does have a shower hookup, but because of all the wood, we've never used it as a shower. We either used the bow or we've used the back of the boat.
The dinghy on Nike is a AB10 dinghy. It was manufactured in 2015. It currently holds air in all of the tubes. I haven't had to add air in for a few months now. There was a hole in the bow that's been patched, and the patching down here is not the most UV stable, so by the time you come and look at it, it may need to get the patch refreshed. But it is currently in working order. It comes with two engines. We have a Yamaha 3 horsepower and a Mercury 25 horsepower, both two strokes. They are older engines, both of them from the 90s, and so that's why we have the two. So if one is having trouble, you can put the other one on. They currently, though, are both working great and start on first pull. By the end of the summer, every engine down in Mexico is going to need to have a carburetor clean, so they'll probably need a carburetor clean. We go fishing every morning in the dinghy, pretty much. My younger son is a bit disruptive for the homeschooling, and so him and I will go fishing every morning, and those engines have been completely reliable to us. If we've headed out, we've always made it back quite well. And the dinghy is set up with two rod holders, so we can go and troll with the dinghy, and we've caught a lot of mahi and a lot of snapper and bass and all kinds of fun stuff. So the dinghy's set up and ready to go. It has chaps that were made 2 years ago, and just last month I went through and redid all of the seams and re-sewed all the seams, so it's fresh and ready to go. It has Denard dinghy wheels, which I think are one of the top two brands. Denard and Beachmaster are the best, so we have Denard wheels. I think that's it about the dinghy.
This is our Cruise RO water maker. The water maker is designed to make around 40 gallons per hour depending on the temperature of the water. Down below, down here, is where the membranes are kept. There's two main membranes, and then out in the back in a cockpit lazarette is where most of the smaller pumps are and filters. When we list the boat, just actually later today, I'm going to be pickling the water maker. So I hopefully will not have to turn it back on again once it's pickled. So just for the sake of showing that it works, we'll go ahead and first we turn on the boost pump. It takes a second for pressure to build. You wait until the bubbles stop popping and going through, which right now is already fine. And then after that, you go ahead and turn on the high pressure pump. You can use this adjuster to adjust this a little bit. We have the newer style Cruise RO freshwater boost pump that auto does pressure, so we shouldn't really need to. From here, we can go ahead and increase the main pressure. It's supposed to take about 30 seconds to slowly increase the pressure without going too fast, so that we don't blast the membranes with pressure. Almost there. You can see product water is starting to go through. Okay, right about there. So you can see now we are making water. So roughly half a gallon a minute. The water here in the marina is pretty warm, so it's making it pretty fast. After a few seconds, we can go ahead and turn this handle to send it to tank. Nike has used this water maker exclusively over the last 3 years. Once we got the water maker working, we have not put any dock water in the tanks at all. So we don't have to worry when we do the flushing that we're going to get nasty dock water into our membranes. So this water maker works great. Been very happy with it. I believe that is about it for Nike. Thank you for coming and taking a look, and we really appreciate the time you've spent watching our video.